road, but stock of the day, thought we'd kick off with Origin Energy. Origin's takeover by Brookfield-led consortium moved one step closer overnight, both parties agreeing to a deal valuing the conglomerate at $18.7 billion. Origin shareholders receive an implied offer of $8.91, representing a 9% premium on the last traded price. Origin will be broken up into two businesses, Brookfield acquiring its energy markets business, while Mid-Ocean Energy would take control of Origin's integrated gas area. Origin board have come behind the takeover bid and supported it. Rudi, what do you reckon?
Don't buy the shares here.
No.
It's a bit late for that.
Yeah.
Although the share price is still not, there's still a little bit of, because obviously it's not 100% sealed yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obvious observation to make. If you have a longer term view, this is quite a short term view, but if you have a longer term view, Origin and AGL are probably excellent examples of how the market changed over the past decade and how their markets have changed over the past decade. I mean, AGL was a little bit more difficult to get across, and Origin has been the one. I mean, sometimes people who are
good for shareholders.
Well, yeah,
because they've been out of favour for years.
Yeah, the shareholders have had a
rough time. Yep.
The share price. I mean, this sounds like high in comparison to where the share price has been.
Yeah.
But once upon a time, the share price was higher.
I know. So I think Gaurav Sodhi, I think this was probably a year ago, said Origin and AGL were two of the worst run businesses that on the market. So if you've been a long-suffering shareholder, good to get out.
The nomination of worst one or best one, that often is an assessment made on where the share price has gone. Yeah? I would always think it is easy to say, because what came head first towards those companies over the past decade has been quite, let's just keep it civil, challenging.
Yep.
And I mean, and that's very, very difficult when you're in the thick of it, of turning those companies around and make the challenge an advantage, which they obviously couldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think in the broader sense, the whole move away from fossil fuels, which even though some people doubt it will happen, but it will happen, I think maybe the underlying sentiment here is it will create both winners and losers and both opportunities and losses.
Howard, I mean, at last a wealth winner for Origin?
No, it's been a slow burn capital killer for years.
Yep.
And I think the shareholders should be relieved that they're actually getting more money than they would have got a little while ago. But you know, when you consider the share price was $12 to $14 10 odd years ago, and we've had some inflation since then, and they're not getting anywhere near $12 to $14 today, but they're getting more today than it was probably worth today. Yeah. And I think one of the silliest things I've seen in the media in the last couple of days is Min saying that the voters of New South Wales, the citizens of New South Wales, were fleeced when they sold the energy companies. Well, not when you look at what they're worth today. Right. The shareholders in the energy companies haven't done very well. The voters did exceptionally well. The citizens did exceptionally well.
Privatisation was great for taxpayers.
Oh, absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, that doesn't always mean privatisation is, but if you privatise something that a few years later you decide you're going to make rules that they can't operate the way they were before, the people who get screwed are the shareholders. The voters of New South Wales have done wonderfully well out of the privatisation of the poles and the wires and the power stations that are now, half of them not going to be used anymore.
Maybe they didn't realise at the time that energy prices can get a lot higher if it's privatised, which obviously is what happened.
Right,
If it's government owned, they can run at a loss and the government will just mop it up.
Yes. Well, the taxpayers mop it up, yes.
And the issue, I suppose, now is that changing sentiment on fossil fuels. Everyone whinges about high energy costs are, but fossil fuels keep energy prices low, so they go gunning for Santos and Woodside. Well, if you gun too hard, if
Yeah.
energy prices are going to go up further in the short term.
I guess
And,
exactly.
we'll-
I guess,
the medium term.
and all that will happen is we won't develop any more gas and
Yes.
oil. Ours will eventually run out, and then we'll have to import it from somewhere else overseas whenever we need it. They'll make money. I mean, people in other countries are probably sitting and cheering.
Yeah.
This is wonderful news.
Yeah.
not
for
so sure
them.
about that one, but anyway, I think I think we all have these ideas and we know what's going to come, but it's a long.
Yeah.
I mean, in 50
It's-
years, in 50 years from now, there's still some coal mines open. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
that the percentage of coal of the total.
And Rudi, it's
energy
that
is
long that when I was doing applied mathematics as part of my degree at
Before
university,
Christ.
just about in the 1960s, that's how long ago it was. In our first year of applied maths in 1966, Professor Oliver used to say to the class, "Your grandchildren will curse you if you don't stop burning dirty coal and polluting the atmosphere."
Yeah.
Now, that was 1966, so that's roughly, what,
So
55
so-
odd
so-
years
so-
ago?
So now they're cursing you.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
probably.